whatever you want. No rules.
Okay.
There's no rule. We learned that one.
We just keep going with it.
Yes,
So it's
I
fine.
like it.
Fair enough. No rules. Then you sound like rebels.
It's all about the cause. Okay.
Welcome to Listen.
Teacher chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
And we have a special guest.
Woohoo! It's Krista Gore.
Finally got Krista on here. She does everything for us.
What is the deal? The myth, the legend. What is that phrase?
The woman, the myth, the legend.
Yeah,
yes.
Krista
You're
Gore.
welcome. See, I do
is
everything
here.
for
She-
them.
She does.
Pretty
I
much. Pretty much.
No, she does everything. Don't listen to her.
Even this time, I mean, now we're forcing her to be a guest, all the things.
Yeah.
So, no.
It's
We are
true.
super happy to have Krista on board today and on board for our social
Life.
media specialist, life,
Yes.
safe place.
Aw,
Yes.
shucks.
Yeah.
Now that you're feeling really good about life.
Pump me up. I gotta
For
tear
all
me
of,
down.
yeah, for all of you who are like, what's it like to be a guest? Well, we try to make you feel very
That's right.
special.
Yeah, you know what? That's our job.
They even make you sit super close together. So
Yeah.
just enjoy the love.
Because we're very fancy with one microphone.
One
So-
day, one day,
One day we'll have two.
maybe.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
I believe.
We do have two. That's a whole nother story, though.
Yes.
Probably should move on. Well,
Anyway.
we do like to start the podcast off with our highs and lows for the week. And because Robin seems so excited this week, I'm going to go ahead and let her start.
Oh, mother of pearl. I got on my high.
Oh.
I guess my track doesn't even you guys. But I'll just talk slow about my
Give
low
me-
and then maybe talk about my okay. All right. Anyway.
Do you really want me to start?
No.
I can start.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So my low, and I know you guys probably don't know this, but I love a good wedge shoe.
Oh,
I love wedges.
I was wondering where you're
Not
going. That
wedges.
I
Also, I looked at your paper and I thought it said wedgie, and I was like, "We'll see where this is going." I just want to wait it out.
Okay, I wish you would have said wedgie, and I'd be like, "All right, stand up, game time."
Wedges.
Okay,
Wedges.
good wedge.
I love a good wedge shoe.
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
But unfortunately, I'm not.
I'll cut that part out.
You know, welcome
Perfect.
to our world of elementary
Mhm.
or school.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I like to wear wedges, but I'm not exactly the most graceful person. Okay.
What?
I'm not. I know that's surprises
Shocking.
you. And really, someone that's not graceful probably shouldn't wear wedges. But you know what? It doesn't stop me.
But they're so fancy.
And they look so good.
Yeah.
And you know, I like it all. And my pants are usually long, so I need a little bit of height. I just think it looks really good. So
Now you're
anyway-
just bragging.
just brag.
Is this a story just so you can brag about how good you look? Is that what's happening?
I look amazing.
The lowest, I look great.
And people,
Everybody else is sad because they don't look as great.
yeah, jealous.
They don't wear wedges well, but I do. But anyway, so I was holding a little boy's hand, and we were walking, and I bit the dust, and I went down, and I practically yanked.
I was
the
gonna say,
board.
did you?
And you should have seen his eyes. He let go. His eyes got really big, and I was like, and I rebounded because I'm actually, when you fall a lot, you're very good at you dumping right back.
Yeah,
So I
just
kinda
bounce
boom,
back
and
up.
boom, like yeah, bam. And so I got back up with the look on his eyes, and I was like, that almost wasn't pretty. And he was like, and so I was like, that poor kid's never gonna hold my hand again. But he did reach for my hand
Oh,
again.
Aw,
So he
that's
he
cute.
feels
He
like
was
he needs-
she needs it now.
I
Yeah.
think it was more shock on his face. It's like, what do we do? But and then,
Supports you.
Yes.
You have a support
I
system.
do have a support system.
Maybe that's your high.
That's true. That's true. You know what? I'm gonna go with a high that's ridiculous, but
Did you figure out how to cover up that gray hair?
Oh, I got another story about that really quick. Speaking of it, did you listen last week?
I did.
Okay.
Yes,
It's
I
her
listen
job.
every week. I have to.
So sorry. Well, and you know, I did talk about how it was Cruella de Vil.
DeVille, yep.
Yeah, him, her too. Anyway, and so I was going to a kindergarten class this week, and they were having picture day. So the teacher called and said, she's like, I just listened to your podcast. I have to tell you what happened. So she was playing telephone during the picture time to make time go
Yeah.
by quickly. So she was whispering, we have a special visitor coming to our classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And when it got to her, they said, there's a villain in our classroom.
It was you.
I was a special
Oh.
visitor.
It was you.
It's so good.
I was the one in their
You know what?
room.
How old are these kids?
5.
These 5-year-olds are listening to our podcast.
And they noticed my gray hair
Wow.
right here. It's not good. Anyway, no, that's not the high. I'm letting that go. I'm just cutting off a little bit at a time. Anyway,
Just the gray? You're cutting out the gray?
it's just one little spot.
Oh, at the bottom?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
That is weird.
It's gorilla.
That's not
What are
normal.
you doing?
Did you get that checked out?
No.
Probably have a deficit in some sort of vitamin.
It's probably a very good. I'm probably deficit in several vitamins. Anyway, my high is I bought a steamer. Do you have a steamer?
No.
Like for your clothes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm
I
checking.
have to iron a lot of things, okay?
Mm.
Well, I'm really into these pallet stores. I don't know if you guys ever go to the pallet stores.
Yeah.
It's maybe a
Oh.
sore subject between Jill and I.
Oh.
So
I love that. You're
Oh.
going?
Oh, I go all the time. So there's one that I went
How
to
is this happening?
$5 when it
Oh.
got to $5.
Yeah.
And so they had a steamer there. And actually my friend Becca,
Mm-hmm.
she bought a steamer at a pallet store a while back.
Yeah. So she's been bragging.
She's been bragging about it.
That's the kind of, yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
her.
She's a bragger.
Yeah.
Sounds like Jill.
We're good friends. Becca and I are good friends. Becca's giving me glares right now. She is in the
Just
room.
talking how she hates when I call her out on this. I like when she's gone because then she doesn't know till later that I did. So then I'm like, please let her miss this.
Maybe this also forces people to listen. Like,
They're like worried.
They're like, who's gonna say my name this week?
So anyway, she got it, and I was like, that's. But I was like, I don't want to spend big bucks. But what if
Yeah.
I don't like it? So I got it for $5.
Mhm.
It has changed my life.
Oh,
I had to iron everything. It is amazing. A steamer is amazing. It's a high.
I
love
believe it.
Today,
That's
listen,
great.
this thing right here is hard to steam in an iron. I put perfect. No sweat.
That's
looks perfect.
awesome.
I'm happy
a
for you.
throw it back in the dryer kind of person myself, and if that doesn't do it,
works
I don't
sometimes,
wear
but
those clothes.
sometimes no.
I'm an iron if it has to be
Oh, are
iron.
you?
Yeah.
I'm an iron.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Iron almost everything.
Well, Krista, do you want to
Wow.
do your highs and lows next, or do you want me to go?
I can go.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
go. I'll take it.
You're in the middle. It's like a sandwich.
yes, yes. So I'll start with my high. So I have been pranking people over at the middle school. Very subtle
Oh.
pranks. That's where I
Wait.
go.
Okay. Is it? So it's not Taylor. It's you
Mm,
in
yes.
my room.
Well,
Ah!
so that's
You
the
punk.
high, is that I've been pranking people just slowly but surely, and Lauren's getting blamed for it.
Funny.
And I am living my best life watching other people think that Lauren
Oh.
Taylor is pranking
That's
them, and it's
funny.
actually been me.
So it's me. Are you taking video? Is there going to be a TikTok and all of a sudden
I
it's pranking
started
me?
a video, but I haven't finished
Please let
it.
it be a video.
And maybe I shouldn't
until-
have said it was my high because now I've ruined it.
Busted.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I was putting these mule stickers on Jill's.
Yeah, I got a
computer
mule
and-
sticker and it was over my nice ones. And then I was like, I told her, I was like, Lauren Taylor keeps putting stuff in my room. And she kind of giggled. I'm like, but I thought it's reasonable. And so I took it off and put it on her computer. Well, she didn't want that. So we put it on somebody
Yeah.
else's. I don't know if they've ever noticed. Surely they have.
Surely.
Anyway.
Well, I
It's
might
you.
just move on to her and start putting them on hers and see if she notices now that this one's been foiled.
Oh, I do like that. I appreciate that. Good prank.
Yeah. And my low is kind of low. So sorry to drag it down a little bit. But another teacher friend of ours lost her son this week. And so it's just been a lot to process through and a lot to think about. And I mean, kids that you see are growing up and
Yeah.
then when their lives are ended too short, it's just really sad.
It is. It's been heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah, really,
very
really
sad.
heartbreaking.
And I think just for everybody knowing how to handle the situation too,
Yeah.
like you have so much love and heartache for them and knowing that they're going through a tough time. You wish you could bear a little bit of that burden, but
I like someone was telling me, we were talking about it this week, it's like, it's sad no matter when you hear about it, but when it's someone you know and you've seen grow up,
Yeah.
it's like, it's a part of you is just, it's just awful.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's an awful thing.
so we're definitely prayers and thoughts
Yes.
out to
Yeah.
that family and
Yes.
the situation. All right, well, I will move on to mine.
Bring it up.
Maybe. So I'm going to go with my low
Okay.
first. And my low is that I'm really kind of over parents posting things on social media before they even
Yes,
say
yes.
anything
Mm.
to teachers or schools. And they're like dissing schools and teachers. And they're not even giving a school or a teacher an opportunity.
No.
So it just really, my principal came in today and this morning and he's like, how you doing? And I just heard about something and I was like, I am annoyed. I'm super annoyed. And he was like, whoa, like what is going on? And I was just kind of like, my thing is this, like, if you have an issue with something going on, reach out to the teacher and
Yes.
let them know what's going on, because we
Yes.
don't know everything that's
No.
happening all the
And
time.
things happen when you don't see it, like in
Yeah.
the hallway or other classes.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
But when you put it on social media, I'm trying to understand the thought process behind that. Like, is it to get attention and make people feel bad for you? But the other part that's kind of my low in this is that as teachers, like, I can't go on there
No.
and say, hey, that's my student and you've never said anything
Yeah,
to us.
I agree.
So I also feel like in education, when people are attacking, we kind of just have to sit there and take it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
And-
not right.
And the crazy thing is, for this particular situation, once we found out, we handled it and everything.
Yeah.
Like, we worked on it.
Yeah.
And there's not, I mean, our principals did a great job. The
Yeah.
teachers did a great job
Yes.
handling it, but never giving the opportunity just kind of frustrates me.
Yeah.
So that's my low.
And I feel like that happens a lot anymore. Like
All
it
the
used to,
time.
but it happens all the
Well,
time.
especially with social media blowing up and all of the different ways. I feel like
Yeah.
there's so many different ways to get word out there that bad things are,
Yeah.
bad or unfortunate
Yes.
things are happening. And people are so quick to respond, but
Yes.
they're not thinking, hey, how do I actually solve the problem?
Yeah.
Maybe go to the source first
Right.
and start there.
Yeah. So
And I mean, what are we teaching our kids when we do that too?
Yes.
Is, hey, just go and complain about it and let's not solve the problem.
right. So that was annoying. But on a different note, one of the positive things I was seeing this week is, we have kids in our classrooms that can be tough. And sometimes I think for middle schoolers, they've got like hormones and
Oh,
all the
yes.
things, and they're trying to figure things out.
And they smell disgusting. Oh, so gross.
Oh, yes. And one of the things that I have tried to like reinforce with my students, even this early in the year, is like every day is a fresh start.
Mm.
So I had a student come in like yesterday, and it was a bad day. And at the end of the day, like lots of attitude, lots of, everything really that you would think of from a fifth grader was coming from this child. And I looked at that kid and I was like, tomorrow is a fresh day.
Yes.
Come in. I'm not going to hold anything against you that happened today. Like, it's a fresh start. And that kid came in and had a great day today. And I just thought, like, I guess seeing that process and just going like fresh starts
Yeah.
are amazing. And I just felt a good positive vibe from all of those things. And I also was just like, I think it's also important that the kids know
Yes.
that you're not going to hold something against them. It's a fresh start
Yes.
tomorrow. And like when she came in today, I was like, we're good. Like, I didn't say anything. I was just like, hey, how are things going? And we were chatting away. And I was just like, that's what it's all about. So
And I think teachers going to remember you have a fresh start.
Yes.
Sometimes we have a really bad day or
Yes.
really bad week, and it's
Yep.
like, hey, tomorrow's a new day for me too.
Yeah.
I can start fresh. I regret what happened yesterday,
Mhm.
but today is new.
Well, and I think we have to model that for our
Yes.
kids too. I think apologizing when you're wrong
Yes.
or
Yeah.
when you've made a mistake or whatever is super important. And then move on, and you show them how to do that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
yourself. Like, I'm going to pretend like yesterday didn't happen because I apologize and I'm owning it and I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
So I will allow the same thing for you.
yeah, absolutely.
I have to do one more funny thing I forgot.
Oh,
I have these
I
things I
know.
don't see you guys. So
I saw her write it down too. I'm like, oh.
So I go into classes and I teach about zones.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was in a first grade class with Cruz.
Oh, geez.
Okay. So we're talking about the yellow zone, and we said, you know what? Sometimes when you're in the yellow zone, you're scared because your heart races. And he's like, oh, you know about that. He's like, my mom scares you all the time. And then something else that we were talking about, like, get a little excited or something or get frustrated. They're like, yep, I've seen my mom do that to you. And I was laughing so hard. Like, he had his own one-man show.
Oh,
I laughed so hard. I was
that
like, you know what,
child.
Cruz, you're right. Your mama does put me in the yellow zone quite often.
He wants to put you in the yellow or red zone, I think. I don't know. Because he is like, that's something he wants us to talk about is how to scare Robin. And I'm like,
It was
we gotta.
so cute. I was like, it was just like, he was immediately like, like, kind of like to me, like, I know, my mom does that to
Oh
you.
my gosh.
So I had to share that. That was fun.
All right. Well, jumping into our little interview / other things. I don't know if I'm saying interview / other things because you've got a topic that we're kind of
yes.
focusing on.
It's the only reason I'm here.
Not the only reason.
Not the only
It's
reason.
a good
It's
reason.
a
It's
good
the only reason we got her here.
It's the only
Let's put it
reason
that
we got
way.
me on.
Something that gets her excited. Okay. Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Krista Gore, and I teach fifth grade. I'm not self-contained. This is the first year I'm not self-contained.
Yay.
I'm departmentalized. So I teach ELA this year, which is amazing. And I feel like everyone who teaches more than one class a day has been gatekeeping from me for my entire education career because it is life-changing. So I grew up kind of all over the world and then found myself in College of the Ozarks and met my husband, and we got married and have babies, and I teach 5th grade.
And happily ever after.
Yeah, happily ever after, for sure. So, which actually is part of how we get to our topic today. So that will be fun.
Yeah. Well, do you want to jump in?
Jump in, tell them what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
All right. So the reason I am here is to help talk about the Enneagram, which I know is like a hot topic. People are talking about, you know, around, and there's all these different content creators who do stuff with the Enneagram, which is really cool. And I actually was introduced to the Enneagram when I was in college, and I was chosen to be a part of this program.
I wanted to say like a study where they were like,
Study.
yeah, jabbing you and like
It certainly ended up more like a study as we got going. But it was like
program. Let's say program.
Program.
It's like a program.
That's a
Yeah.
positive way to put it. Basically,
Was it like a work release program or
yeah, we had a service project, so we're getting there. But basically, so they tested like a ton of people from the college, and not everybody got to go, but they tested you and they found out what your Enneagram number was, what your type was. And then they took a huge variety of people across the numbers, stuck them all in a room for a weekend. Like we went to a resort and like had a whole weekend, and they taught you about each of the Enneagram types and like strengths and weaknesses and what you look like.
Fun.
It was a blast. It was super cool. But I felt a little called out. So I'm an Enneagram type 8, which is a challenger. There's a lot of names for it, like the powerful. Basically, it means I'm a bulldozer.
which can be turned into a very positive thing.
Right?
Leader.
In fact, one of the ladies was standing up and she was like, there's a lot of great things about an 8, because they had kind of, as a group, been like saying lots of mean things about 8s, and like they push us around and there are all these mean things, and I was like, those things are true. But she stands up, she goes, hold on guys, like I want you to know that 8s may be like that, but they make the best husbands. And I'm sitting there like, oh, that's really awkward. I guess I'm a really good husband. So
They make a great wife or husband.
I like stood up and I looked at her and I was like, and she goes, and wives. I haven't seen an 8 in a wife role. And I was like, well, here we go.
Here we go.
So,
Oh.
it's fun.
So yeah, we brought Chris on because it's kind of it's like a passion of yours, like
It is, yeah.
looking into it and kind of focusing in. And I think with any of these like personality things that go along with things, it's important for us to, yes, recognize our strengths or where we are, but also think about other people and how we can mend together, because sometimes we know that we're going to have conflict with people.
Yes.
And it may be something about our personality.
Yeah.
It may be something about theirs. It may be
Often
something about
is.
both. But there's also an adjustment that can be made with those things. And so I think for me personally, knowing like where I am on any of these things, whether it's the strength finder or I never even say this right. Enneagram?
Enneagram.
I think I always want to say
It starts with-
angiogram.
So we can't
I
help
don't
you
know
with
what
your
that
angiogram.
is. What is an angiogram?
That's your heart.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my family has a lot of heart problems,
Yes.
so maybe that's why.
Us too.
Enneagram.
Yeah.
So with the Enneagram, I think it's just good to kind of see where you are, because I think it also helps you within your role. And like I said, even because it goes with your second choice, or not your second choice,
Your
but
wings.
your wings.
Mhm.
So anyway, I think that's good.
I had so much fun typing Jill and Robin. I set like bets for myself ahead of time about how right I was. And then I had them take a test, which really, if you're really into the Enneagram, you'll read the book and you'll look through all of the qualities and kind of type yourself.
Yeah.
But if you want the quick track, a test is the way to go.
Yeah.
And I was right. So
And I
was great.
Well, do we need to say what ours are?
I think so.
Well,
Do you remember?
mine is I'm a 7
Yes.
with a wing of an 8.
So tell us kind of what a 7 with a wing of an
Okay,
8.
so a 7 is a joyful or an enthusiast. So,
Aw.
they're the people that are all hyped up and
Ah.
excited.
Very nice.
Often can like jump without looking and are excited just to, go with the flow. And Jill also, like, they talk about the strengths for Strength Finder. I'm excited for them to talk about that. But that woo definitely goes along with that. So being
Yeah.
excited and getting people hyped. And then the wing of the 8, so I'm the 8, is the powerful. So when she's actually healthy and she's functioning really well.
Are you healthy?
I feel pretty healthy right now.
Healthy right now.
I'm healthy most of the time. The problem is whenever I feel like where my 8 comes into play, if I'm really passionate about something and like people
Mama
maybe,
comes out.
yeah, like the mama, or if I feel like people are kind of pushing my people or some of those things, like I know that 8 can and has come out in me because I'm like, no, now we're done. And I think
I've watched that switch flip too, and you will not get me on another side of a room quicker than sending Jill to her 8 side. Nope.
I think it shocks people though because I'm typically at that 7, just like happy, like let's get going, and then it's like all of a sudden like it's go time, and I'm like, yeah, it really is. So
no, I'll just make sure she's on my side when she flips.
When I flip to the 8, be on the side.
No.
All right, I'm a 2 with a wing of 3.
Yes. So you're the loving.
No.
Which 2s very often get people to love them. And that's like one of the primary goals is I want to be helpful to you. I want you to feel loved. I want you to feel like your needs are met. And however I can do that. The sad part of that is often it's at your own detriment.
That's
so
true.
you'll be so loving and so caring and so helpful that it hurts you. So, and that's why learning about the Enneagram is so important though, is because when you know that about yourself, like Robin, like it will help you to set boundaries when you say, all right, I've already given a lot. Where is my tank? Am I like close to empty? And what do I need to do to set a boundary? My mom's a 2. So I am very close with 2s.
Which with your job, I mean, it totally makes
Yeah.
sense, but you could also see where you would keep going until it's not a good spot for you to be in.
And you know, I want to know this because do you think your Enneagram, whatever it is that right?
Enneagram.
Enneagram.
It's all right. Pinterest. Enneagram. I got it.
Do you think it changes, or do you think you always are?
So they don't let kids take the Enneagram. Well, don't let kids. I'm sure you could let a kid take the Enneagram test.
No for you.
They say not to type kids because you grow into your personality. And so part of what I really liked about the Enneagram is that it was the first quote unquote personality test that I took, that when it showed like your upbringing, like 8s typically come from this type of upbringing. It was spot on. Fight or flight, essentially. So you're in fight or flight. My family, we grew up overseas and in very unsafe situations. And so I spent a lot of my time making sure that I was safe and the people around me were safe, and then going into that protector role. So because that's how I grew up into that 8.
That makes sense.
So I do think you're probably, unless something life altering, comes in and totally changes your personality, you'll probably always be a 2.
Because I feel like I kind of was a 7 when I took the test. I'm a little bit of a 7 a while back. But I feel like with my job, and then even I lost my dad. So I felt like my role became of taking care of my family and my mom and my own kids. And so I wondered if you're kind of your
that's life altering thing.
It is, and it becomes because I think I always was a 2 because that's very much. But I think I just wondered if that kind of, because now I think about
and you have like high percentages. So like I am not at all a 2. I don't like when you look at the breakdown when you take a test or when you're looking at your own personality and you break it down. It has like higher percentages. So you're probably really high in 2 and 7, but you have more of the
and I do feel like 2 now where my life, my job, everything. I definitely feel like I'm a 2 with a wing of 3. I really do.
Well, and you mature in it too. Like figuring out what that looks like for you. I haven't I was very much the bulldozer type person. And as I've grown and matured and, had a job and things like that, I've learned how to calm myself down. You probably functioned a lot in that, like keeping everybody happy all the time and having to care for your family and everything really took that into more like the caretaker part. So all of that makes a lot of sense.
And what's a 3?
A 3 is an achiever. Let me make sure I'm right on that. Yes. I actually typically have the most problems with achievers. Because 8s, right? 8s and 3s can look really similar. We can take over situations and like bend them to our will, take over things, right?
I like it. Talking my love language.
Yes, right. Their motivations are totally different. So like 8s are self-seeking. Like every situation, I know it sounds terrible.
I don't know why anybody was saying anything bad about an 8.
All these
Make it sound so
qualities.
positive.
The 8s will like bend things to our will because it serves us the best. So I think I'm going to take over this project because I'll do it better.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with you. I will just do it better. So I'm going to do it. Whereas a 3, so that achiever comes in, is I'm going to bend this to my will so that people will like me and approve of me, and that everyone will see that I'm great at this.
I mean,
So, and I say that like it's a bad thing, but it's a really good quality
this
too.
may be a therapy session.
I feel like
You're
you're on the
welcome.
beanbag. Maybe we need to move over there.
Oh my
Do you need
gosh.
to say in yellow? Am I making you nervous?
Yeah, like
Listen, I love stuff like this.
Well,
I literally love it.
here's the thing with it. It's like anything else. Like, use the tool
Yes.
to help you become a better version of yourself.
Mhm.
Because we all have these avenues that we lean towards.
Yeah.
But if you sit there and you're like, well, I'm just going to bulldoze, or
Yeah.
you're going to go, sometimes we've got to take a step back, or I'm just going to jump into everything and be happy about it. It's like, no, probably not a good idea. In this moment, I'm actually quite thankful my husband does not listen to the podcast.
Because he's a 1 and he already made up a rule about it.
Actually, I don't know that he's taken this. I feel like he needs to.
I would put
Am I a
95%
1?
odds. Yeah, he's
What
a 1.
is a 1?
A reformer.
Oh, a
Keenan's
reformer.
a 1.
Oh, we've talked
I've already
about
pegged
this.
that they're the same person.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sitting here and we had a conversation lately about the amount of things I'm involved in,
Yes.
and how I feel like the things that I'm involved in are valid, that God has placed them in my life, and I still will stand by that. I feel like in this moment he's gonna be like, maybe it's just the fact that you're enthusiastic and you're just gonna jump in, and then but I would switch it and I would say, but maybe God knows that I am enthusiastic and I can jump into a situation.
Yeah. I love
Boom.
it.
Mic drop.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
I love it. My husband's actually a 6, a loyalist.
Ooh, I don't know very many 6s.
Well, you want to get to know him? Because I'm tired of taking care of it. This 2 is done. No, just
This 2 is done. That's why you became a 2. You're like, oh,
No.
interesting.
He is like,
So does he question a lot of things all the time?
What doesn't he question?
Okay.
And he worries about everybody. He wants to make sure like nothing's, literally my daughter just moved to a new place and it has stairs and he says, please don't go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. She's 19. She can handle the stairs. And then if my Maddie spends the night with her, she'll say, remember the stairs. I'm like, they're 19.
gosh.
They can handle the
So
stairs.
good.
So, but yeah, it's very interesting. So I love how it talks about it. And like you said, but just kind of knowing about yourself and knowing, because when I read some of these things, I'm like, oh, that's completely me.
Yeah.
And like, I have to put up boundaries and know when I need to get help. In fact, I have to tell Dave, I said, I don't ask for very many things. I'm really not. I'm not high maintenance. I'm like, I really
except for the wedges and the clothes that she continues to buy.
That little gray spot at the bottom of her hair.
I'm a bargain hunter, so they are cheap. So you know what? You got nothing to worry about. But sometimes I say I learned because I've married a long time, and I should have done this a long time ago. So here's some extra marriage advice for people.
Mm-hmm.
If you're use your words and tell your spouse what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Words of wisdom from Robin.
Anyway, but I have to say, Dave, I need a date night, or I need you to sit and listen to me because sometimes I'm dried up because I'm a
I think that maybe for me too. I was gonna say because I think they should know.
No, and that's what I said.
They're oblivious.
And all the time.
You have to say it.
Actually, this is what I would say. I would used to tell him those things.
Yeah.
And then be mad when he started doing them because I'm like, well, I shouldn't have told you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing it because you're sincere. And I'm like, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yes, there were different personalities.
Yeah.
So
makes sense
to
me.
Let's keep on sidetrack.
I feel like we've actually covered several of these,
good.
but
Yes.
as we're talking, if there's other things you want to add to it, but one was, what was a surprising moment that you have when thinking about the personality types and how they come together? So a surprising moment of personality types coming together.
I actually have quite a few surprising moments, but I'll focus on like probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Because I think what's cool about the Enneagram is that I'm very often surprised by either people's types, like people's numbers, and how I work with them. But also, so 8s and 1s, which is the reformer, that it's been called like the good person,
which is what your
well,
husband,
which is what my husband is. 8s and 1s are the worst to put together. So it goes perfectly with our conversation because we should not be married based on the personality types, but we actually work really well together. So I've been surprised by that. But even when like working with people, I'm constantly surprised when I like am having trouble with somebody and I think about, all right, what are they probably, on the Enneagram? Or if they know, I'll straight ask.
Krista is really great about just saying, like, asking things where I'm like, and that's good.
So funny story. I'm going to branch off on this because it's a good one. So you guys know, because Jill's in 5th grade and she moved over to the middle school, that we all were shifting to the middle school. And when we shifted, they like put up a list on the screen that said like your new team, like who you're going to be with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked at our team and it was me and Lauren Taylor and Jamie Duggar, who are all awesome, but I didn't know Jamie at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so she knows where this is going. She already knows the end of this story.
I'm not going to ruin it. I'm just, I'm going to lay back. Listen.
Exactly.
So,
She's a
right, as she should. And so I look at and I'm like, yay, awesome. So we go and we sit down together and the 3 of us are sitting there. And I tell you, like within 30 seconds of sitting down, I was like, so Jamie, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And he looked at me like I was a crazy person. I 100% thought I was in the right.
And I think I heard it from across the room and I was like, what are you doing?
So he goes, I don't know. And I was like, not even your weaknesses? And he looked at me like, get off my back. I've just met you.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, I need to relocate to another team.
Which, as a good friend, to which when I think you actually told me the story.
So like afterwards, I went and I'm telling the story like I'm in the right. Because I'm so proud of myself for being like, we're going to work great together as a team. Because I asked all these questions. And I was like, Jill, I asked him what his strengths and weaknesses were. And she was like, are you crazy?
I know. I was like, what are you doing? This is in the first 30 seconds. I was like, that is too much. That is too much.
I was like, really? I would love it if somebody asked me for my strengths and weaknesses.
I actually would love that.
Right? But not everybody is like us, Robin.
I know, but she was like, if Jill's saying it's too much, something's wrong.
That honestly, I key all of my emotions and how I view.
If Jill says something, it's gone too far.
Exactly. And I hold true to that. And all of our ELA meetings, I'm like, if I start to go too far, Jill will put her hand on me and I'll be like, I should have backed off 5 minutes ago. Too much.
I would let her go for a little bit.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's again though, having our people to keep us in check. I need it too.
Something you need to try with her. We had a teacher when she says too much, we said sim. Says shut your mouth.
What did we have?
Just look at tuna.
Tuna. Yep, that was our goal.
Tuna.
Tuna.
She's gonna be,
nothing.
It was just so weird. We like chose it as our word last year, like our safety word of like stop. You've gone too far.
Listen, I think of a lot of things. Tuna's not one of the words.
But when you hear tuna, you're gonna go, why are they saying that? Oh. I need to shut my mouth.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Good.
Okay, so going just away from the Enneagram,
and
I'm gonna have to cut that so many times. Going away from the Enneagram, I want to know, what is your best teacher story?
So, like best or funniest?
You could go either way.
Okay.
I mean, you can do both.
So
no rules.
Probably one of my more embarrassing teacher moments was I was walking down the hall with my class, and I use sign language to tell them, like, for them to show if they're using the restroom or getting a drink or whatever. And so I'm messaging, showing to my whole class, we're going to the bathroom and getting a drink. And my class is walking by me, and I'm like staring off into space. And one of my kids is like, Mrs. Gore, what are you looking at? And I was like, you, like trying to be funny. Like, I'm looking at you. And he goes, no, you're not. But I know you're looking at something because your mouth is hanging open. And I was like, oh, touche.
That's what you do. Your mouth just hangs open.
Apparently. I was like, it's been a long day, kid. If only you knew everything I was
saying. Oh, yeah. If only they knew.
Oh, yes. It's better they don't know.
Yeah, true.
Yes. But in general, things that I love about teaching, I'm really excited to be able to focus on writing this year because I love hearing kids' stories. And I won't lie, sometimes I read them on Snapchat to my family. I won't tell them who wrote it, but their stories are so funny. And I'm like, guys, listen to this. I love it. So that's one of my favorite parts of teaching.
Which is Yeah.
the next question.
Yeah.
Do I jump
The
ahead?
greatest part of your job. I think it actually says
Yeah.
the greatest job in your job, but it meant to say greatest part of your job.
Yes.
That's
That-
it.
I
right?
would say. Well, I'm just like, I mean, all of the cliche teacher things like seeing the light turn on. Like all of
Yeah,
those things are
that's
true. I think they're
real.
going to be true for everybody.
I'd hope.
Yeah.
You're the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Who does it.
Greatest day of my
Get out!
greatest thing of my joy is when that bell rings at the end of the day.
And I run to my car. Best day ever.
So true.
Oh my gosh.
How
Oh.
have you guys like looked into the Enneagram? Have you guys used the Enneagram in your job or thought about it in your lives?
I've not like done any real research
Mhm.
between it. I haven't.
Well,
I like it. I mean,
I'm going to tell
yeah.
you, I've been doing some research, and it's called, I was very, very happy because Sarah Floyd
Mhm.
is a 2 with a wing of 3.
Yes!
She posts stuff all the time, so I just take it
Sarah
off Instagram.
You're like, yes, that's me.
I'm like, I take a picture. I'm like, oh, yes.
Mhm.
So, I mean, either that or she's trying to help me. I don't know.
Yeah. She's like, you need this.
Oh my god.
I'm like, it talks about, but so that is, I find it so interesting, like
Mhm.
honestly, and I like to think what other people are, because
Yeah.
I do love to see like how you work with them,
Mhm.
and I love to see like I do some important research on Google, and so I look up like who gets along well with people, like and I
Yes.
look up who you should marry, and like I look up Dave and myself.
It's too
like,
late for you. You gotta stick with what you got.
That's-
I do wonder about these things. I'm like, I am so thankful Sean and I did not take any kind of
I
test like
know.
that.
Well, so
Well-
what's funny is Keenan and I had both taken it in college, and we went through premarital like counseling at the college because
Yeah.
we had a counseling center. And in there, they're like, so you guys know that like 8s and 1s, like really rough match. And we're like, we're getting married anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
like-
and that's the other thing though. If I'm realistic, I feel like Shauna knew we knew we were quite different, and that's why
yeah.
we work. But he might have overthought that. I would have been like, "It's fine, we're in love, like it'll work out," and he would have been like,
I totally get it.
I know.
Oh my god.
That's Dave and I too. We are totally different on everything, and so, but it is interesting, and the reason I like it too is because I do like to see. It helps me see the great qualities that he has, because you know sometimes, and even other people. But it's like sometimes when you're having those bad times or whatever, you're like, man, they do take good care of their
Yeah.
family. They put their family first. Like
Yeah.
there is a lot, so that's why I love those kind of things. That, and when you're on a long trip, it's a great question to have your family take
Yeah.
the quizzes and see what you are.
And I think it's really helpful too, if you look at it as a tool all around.
Yes.
So not only just to know yourself and your strengths and weaknesses and being able to recognize when you're responding in a healthy way versus an unhealthy way, then you can ask people to help you with that. So
Yeah.
like I have been struggling with my personality,
My personality.
my personality, with my responses in certain situations. And because I know this about myself, I've been able to go to Jill, and I was actually listening to your guys' last episode, and you were talking about finding your people that will call
Yeah.
you out. So Jill already knows that she needs to call me out because we've had those conversations. But then I can also go to her and be like, well, here's where I'm coming
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
Can you help me fix this? Or what would you do in this
Yeah.
situation? Because I'm not looking at it,
No.
you know,
Mhm.
a certain way, and I can
Yeah.
fix that.
Have open dialogue. I mean, having
Yes.
those friends, you can have the open dialogue to help. I mean, because if
Yeah.
anybody's sitting there and like, I'm fine with how I am, like everybody has things they can
Oh,
work on.
100%.
So definitely.
Well, and even being able to look at other people and say, wow, I totally understand why you're doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I totally see where it's coming from. I might not agree with how you go about it, but
Yeah.
I completely get your perspective based on whatever your end goal is.
Yep, absolutely.
I love it.
All right. Well, that's like
Yeah.
that went by so fast.
I agree.
I know.
You,
This is
do you
what
need to say anything else? Anything else you want to bring up and talk about?
Yeah, this
Are
is
you?
your one chance, because you know I'm not sure we're gonna be able to
Please
sucker you
never
back
have
in.
Yeah, sucker you back in. We can do that. We're like, we really need a guest this
Yeah.
week. It's you, right?
We'll be like, we're not really doing the podcast. Just sit here. A minute. Oh, wait, is this on? Oh, well, you know what? Since you're here,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I do want to take the opportunity though, and thank you, Krista, for all that
Yes.
you've done for us and the podcast. I know there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and Robin and I may be the face, but you are the behind the scenes with
I
all those
agree,
things. And
100%.
I think about it all the time, how thankful I am that whenever we talked about doing this and you were like, I'll do your social media. And we're like, yes.
Yeah.
It was like an automatic yes, and I was like, I feel like this was planned.
Hey.
This was like a thing
Listen,
before I
yeah.
even
We would
offered.
plan ahead and then plan it, but we don't plan ahead.
Also, though, that's the important thing about the Enneagram. So I remember how the whole thing started, and they've told you guys the story before. Like literally, was coming off of a crazy loud yelling conversation that was hysterical and everyone was laughing. They were like, we should have a podcast. And Jill was like, yeah, let's do it. And then the next thing you know, they're creating this podcast. So they're like the jump in, just get it done, do it, make it happen. And I'm over there like planning.
We were planning. We got ideas.
I'm like, I need it on a spreadsheet, guys. Please put it on a spreadsheet.
And listen, we try to do the spreadsheet because, you know, we have all these things. We don't even know what we're saying half the time. But she's the one that has to post about it. So she's like,
bless her heart.
Kind of post with the scripture, with the challenge. We're like,
I love that.
You don't want to listen to it 42 times over. Like, God loved his people.
Which is what I did for the first couple episodes. So we laughed, but that's a real thing that happened.
And I do have to say, I mean, there is never a post that doesn't look so professional and look so good. I mean,
we are not paying you enough.
You know what? Double your salary.
Keep saying it. Keep saying it.
I do laugh because my funny teacher story.
Yes.
I have lots of people that came in and told me that was funny, and they're like, "You totally didn't have those little pictures, did you?" They're like,
know.
It was Kristen. I was like, well, when you makes you think I may not have done that.
Like, TikTok story. Yes.
They're like, oh, when they had Dr. Hood walking down the hall and the thing. And I was like, why would you not think maybe I did that?
Mm-hmm.
I think they were shocked I actually recorded a video. So I said that was
took a couple weeks, but we got
there.
I was like, she'd be like, and you know, she's so kind. She's like,
I just realized I messed up on. All right.
Woo.
Anybody watching on YouTube will notice that Krista is missing. Let's just say we needed to go get some boys from football practice.
This is part of being a mom and a teacher and a podcaster.
You guys, do you want to come in so they can see you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Although I do hear that Lane Miller that we picked up, he is an avid listener to Listen Teacher Chatter.
Shout out to you, buddy.
Okay, so we have some just reminders. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We have YouTube. If you're looking at it, you don't want an edited version, you will see all kinds of things on that one. And we have some shout outs. So on Instagram, Casey Crocker, she goes by Casey Croc on Instagram, is following us now. And on TikTok, Cindy Porter 2011 and DL Summers 2 are some new TikTok followers.
You know what? I think that's actually my sister-in-law.
Hey.
Way to go.
Hi,
girl. She was a TikToker.
Oh, yeah. I guess so.
She's very cool like that.
Yeah. You have some Facebook ones?
Yeah. We have Kelly Flora and Giselle Bauman.
Oh.
I don't know if that's relation. Actually, I do know.
Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely is. My other thing that I wanted to add into this is that, you know, we've been talking about guests, and I loved having Krista on here, and we've got a great lineup coming up as well. But I was thinking about like a dream guest, like who would I want on the podcast? Jimmy Fallon.
You know what? I would love to have Jimmy Fallon.
So I'm going to mention his name every single podcast until it happens.
I love it.
Every time.
I'm going to believe
that
he's going to be on here.
I mean, we're teachers. Yeah. We're enthusiastic.
And we have a positive podcast.
Yes. So
I love it.
Jimmy Fallon, you are officially invited to be on our podcast.
Yes.
Okay.
You're welcome to fly us out to you if that's easier.
Or you can come to us.
Drive here or fly.
He can fly. He probably won't drive. But I just want to put that out there. And so if you hear me mention it every episode from here on out, I won't be able to do a big thing on it, maybe, or maybe I will. Jimmy Fallon.
I love it.
Come on.
I support it. Jimmy Fallon. Contact us. You know where we are.
All right. You got a challenge for us?
I do have a challenge. And our verse that I picked was Gillette.
Gillette for men.
Woo!
That's all right.
I'm in the yellow zone. I'm a little excited. My heart's beating fast. I'm a little out of control, but I'll be okay. All right. Galatians 6:9. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we'll reap a harvest, for if we do not give up. And so I actually went to a PD with Princess Kent, actually.
Yeah, Princess Kent.
Yeah. And so, but he was talking about how to stay healthy as a teacher and stay positive.
Yeah.
And he was saying how he kept that verse with him. And I thought, man, that's such an awesome verse to keep that in mind. And he also, our Dr. Kelly at our faculty meeting gave us a little Post-it like this. And it says, you're supposed to write your why.
Yeah. Why
you do what you do, and then wear it around. And kind of in this PD, it was the same thing. Why do we do what we do? Mm-hmm. And I thought this was a great week for you guys to take your time, sit down and write why you are a teacher. Why do you come in every day? And I just think it's such a good idea to just write it and put it somewhere where you see often. So on those days that are hard, or those days that you want to give up, or even those great days, that you have that laid out for you to remind why you're why. And then also the scripture, let us do not grow weary in doing good. So don't quit with what you're doing good. For the proper time, we will reap a harvest if you don't give up. And I just think we do reap what we do every day is plant the seed for a great harvest, which is the children that we teach.
Yeah.
And I just,
well, and it says right there, don't give up.
Yeah.
I mean, there are days that I've had days already this year that I'm like, oh my gosh, my job is really hard.
Yeah.
And then the next day the kids do something. I'm like, this is exactly the place I need to be. So. And
remember that sometimes we won't see the harvest also, but what we do is important. So both those things, write your why out this week. And maybe we can do a podcast, or maybe we can do a post where people can say why they teach.
I love that.
I love it.
Write it down on our spreadsheet for Krista.
We'll have to write that. You're welcome, Krista. There's only the 5th thing you need to post this week.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes. So thank you everybody for listening. If you like our podcast, make sure you are rating us.
Yes, 5 or walk away.
Make some nice reviews on there. I've seen some new ones added.
Yeah, so
I love it. Because again, that and share. I mean, if you're on one of our pages and you see it pop up, go ahead and share it for others in your little circle to see, so that maybe they can reach out and have some joy in their day too. So
I love it.
All
right. Well, listen.
Nope.
Just kidding. All right. This is Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
And we hope you have a great week.